DreAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one show, one approach in this daily masterclass. Yes, you heard me. This is a daily masterclass. If you didn't know, now you know. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today, I'm going to introduce you to something that you have already heard me talk about if you listen to the show, because you've heard the ad bumps that we've had here on this. If you're on my email list, then you definitely know about it. If you are on my text list, which you can get on for free, then you know about it. If you are following me on any social media platform, then you know about it. But I'm gonna make sure I formally announce it right here on this masterclass, introducing my newest book called The Third Day. The Third Day is the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. That is the subtitle of the book, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. I have talked about the third day. I mentioned it many times here on this show. You probably remember me talking about it. I know you probably do, because whenever I lay out the work on your game philosophy even to people who have never heard of it before, let's say I'll go give a speech somewhere, I might lay out 5 points. The third day is the one that people always remember. It's the one that people hold on to. It's the one that people, when they see me later, after they first heard me that time, they say, no, the third day, that's the thing I've been holding on to. You might have remembered back in episode 1262, if you've been around long enough, I talked about handling the first day, which is a situation where you have gotten into your zone, but you went away for a minute and you had to come back. You can follow me on social media or on my email list. You heard me talk about that when I went away on 2 weeks traveling abroad. I was in Europe, come back, and I started doing cardio again. I didn't do any cardio while I was gone, even though I lifted weights, and I had to kind of work my way back to where I was. If you were listening back when I did episode number, that was number, let me get my typing right here, episode 907, about a year before that, I talked about how to make it to the fourth day. It was the situation where you get past the third day, you get to the point where your work doesn't get any easier, but it feels a whole lot easier to you. But you might not even know what I'm talking about. So let me back up before I get ahead of myself here. So this new book, The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs, is my newest book. It is coming out in conjunction with the Work on Your Game System Manual. And I'm gonna tell you where you can get both of those books at the exact same time by going to thirddaybook.com. That's the link where you can get it. So you can peruse that page right now as you listen to me explain what this book is about and give you an introduction of the book. I mean, it's a whole 189-page book, so I'm not gonna give you the whole book right here on this show, but I'm gonna give you enough that you understand what it's about, why you need to pay attention to it, and why it matters to you no matter who you are, what you do, and where you are going. So today my aim today, my intention is to lightly intrigue you. And of course, I want to enroll you in signing up for the full course meal, which is getting the book. And here's the good news about the book. Before I even tell you any more about it, I'm gonna give you the book for free. Yes, you heard me, free 99, not $3.99, free 99. The book is free. All you're gonna do is cover the shipping. Again, if you go to thirddaybook.com, you can see a video where I'm going to explain the book even more and very succinctly in about 5 minutes. You're going to read about everything that led to that book. You can see pictures of the book, all of that stuff. If you're watching me on video right now, you can see me holding up a hardcover version of the book. Another thing about it, we have hardcover version and a paperback. So if you like physical books, and I know a lot of you do, you can get a paperback or a hardcover. If you like audio books, of course we're going to have an audio version. I mean, y'all know how we do it, how we do these things over here. So all of that said, this new book, The Third Day, that is the topic here today. Let's get into the points. Point number one, topic again, introducing The Third Day, the book, not the idea, but the book. The third day, I want y'all to understand that the third day is not an occurrence, everybody. Let me give you a simple blueprint of what I'm talking about when I say the third day. So let's just say, here's a useful example that I think everyone can relate to. Over the last year plus, we know that we've had this global pandemic going on. And depending on who you are and where you live, and maybe if certain people that you know that are close to you have been affected by it, maybe it has affected you more or less. And I think actually, I live in a place like Florida where this state has been probably the most open and the longest open of anywhere in the United States. And I know a lot of places all over the world. I just got done traveling internationally, are not nearly as open as even Florida was. So I know all of us have been affected in some way, even if it's just what you do in your day-to-day life or your work and things like that. But let's just say you didn't get to work out the way that you normally do over the course of the pandemic. Actually, I don't think anybody got to work out the way they normally do over the course of the pandemic, or they chose not to. But then you decide to get back into it. By this point, I think a lot of us are able to go to the gym again, maybe deal with our trainers again, do the workouts that we were used to doing. Again, that first day when you get back, how do you feel? First day when you get back to doing your normal workouts as you were pre-pandemic, how do you feel? Usually you feel pretty good. Because it's exciting. You haven't done it for a while. You're doing something like working out, which is voluntary. So it's not like you're being forced to do it. You're doing it. It's not against your will. You want to be there. It's going to help you. You know it's a positive thing you want to do. You know it's going to be some work involved. You know it's not always going to be easy, but you're excited to do it. Now, this first workout is not quite so easy because, listen, you're not in the same shape that you were in before because you kind of fell off the horse. You jumped off the treadmill for a little while. It wasn't your fault, but you jumped off it for a little bit. So that first workout is a little bit harder than it was back in the day, but you're excited to do it. The workout kicks your butt, but you look at yourself when it's done and you say, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm back. I'm getting back in the groove. Yeah, let's go. The second day, now you got a little bit of fatigue from the first day. Now we know this, and you were expecting this. You knew this was going to happen. You knew you were going to have all this soreness because you hadn't done this workout in a minute. Now this second workout is a little bit harder than the first workout because not only do you have to do the workout, which you are not in shape for yet, but you also have the fatigue from day one on your body. You didn't have any fatigue the first day because you hadn't done a workout before that. So you got day one fatigue, plus the fact that you ain't conditioned to do these workouts yet. So the second workout's a little bit tougher, kicks your butt a little bit more, but you still look at yourself when it's done, look in the mirror and you say, hey, I'm back, I'm in the groove, I got 2 days in a row, I got a streak going, I'm doing this. Now by the third day, already, just the third day, you're already questioning this whole decision-making process that led you to get back into the gym. By the third day, you're wondering if you even want to keep this up. By the third day, you're wondering, do you really need to work out every day? By the third day, you're wondering if you can still cancel your gym membership or get your money back from the training sessions that you paid for. By the third day, you might decide that you don't even want to go to the gym that day. You might text your trainer and say, listen, or your accountability partner or your workout buddy and say, look, I ain't going to make it today. By the third day, you've already realized that this is not going to be all fun and games. By the third day, the job has become a job. And I mean job in all capital letters, J-O-B. Now, what do I mean when I'm talking about the third day? I'm out of the example now. The third day, ladies and gentlemen, is any situation in life. It is not about working out. It doesn't have to be about sports or fitness. It's any situation in life where the newness has worn off, the novelty is gone, it's no longer just all fun and games and exciting, and you realize, okay, there is some actual work that needs to be done here, and it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be enjoyable. The third day is not the occurrence. Even though I'm explaining an occurrence, the third day is not the occurrence of I'm tired or I don't feel like it or things are not popping off or it's not working the way I wanted to or now I have a challenge. The occurrence happens that makes it the third day. But what actually the third day is a decision that you make as to how you are going to show up, if at all, in those moments when you realize that the job is now a serious job. So the third day occurs when you write a book. You're going to come across the third day when you're looking at a blank screen, staring at a blank page. There's more writing to be done. You're on deadline and this needs to get done, but you have no idea what to do. The third day occurs in relationships. You go through that honeymoon phase with the person that you're dealing with, and now you're starting to realize some of this person's, maybe some of their traits that you may not be so fond of. And maybe they're realizing the same thing about you. What's going to happen in that relationship at that point when you both get over the honeymoon phase and now you stop being polite and start being real? The third day occurs in businesses when you might start off in your business, you launch the business, launch a product, launch your course, and you got the sales coming in and everybody's all excited. And then when that launch period is over, now you realize, okay, now there's some actual work that needs to be done here. Are you showing up with the same energy at that point that you were when you first started? The third day occurs, again, we talked about in sports and fitness. Any of you who has ever played a sport, solo sport or a team sport, at the beginning of the season, everybody shows up ready to practice and go hard every day in training. But what about in the middle of the season? On sports teams that I've played on, I know this happens in basketball specifically, but baseball, football, I'm sure it happens. They call it the dog days of the season. What are the dog days of the season? Those are the days in the middle of the season where it's not so close to the beginning of the year that everyone's excited about the newness, and it's not so close to the end of the year that everybody can be excited that it's almost over. It's right in the middle, but you still got to do the work. That's the third day. So the third day does not mean 1, 2, 3 times in a row. It doesn't have to be Wednesday. It doesn't have to be a certain timed period. The third day is any situation where the newness is gone, but the job still must be done. Oh, and who's responsible for doing the job? That would be you. So everybody understand what the third day is about. It is not an occurrence. It is a decision. The decision that you make when the newness is gone, stuff may not be working. Or just a situation, it just could be a day. It could be a moment. The third day could happen over the course of, you might work 10 hours in a day. You might have a third day, any of you who does any kind of office work or computer work, around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, you already had lunch. The high from whatever, the coffee caffeine high is gone. The energy that you got from the lunch that you ate, that's pretty much gone. It's not close enough to you getting off of work that you can be excited about that, but it's also not close enough to the beginning that you got that beginning of the day energy. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Because I know when I worked in any kind of office type of work, which I did, the last place was working at Philadelphia Sports Club in Philly, around 1 to 3 o'clock, around that time period every day, there'd be a little bit of a crash. Why? Because as I just explained, that's the third day. That 2-hour period was the third day. Me keeping myself from falling the hell asleep at my desk was the third day. So anytime when you're just not feeling your best, how do you show up? Do you show up? Athletes, salespeople, parents, when you're in a relationship, if you're a boss, if you're an employee, if you're a teacher, if you're a student, we all face the third day all the time. So now everyone's clear what the third day is, yes? And if you're not, rewind everything that I just said and also go to thirddaybook.com, claim your free copy of the book. Let's move on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is introducing my newest book, The Third Day, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. Understand that the third day need not be few and far between decisions and situations. What I mean here is the third day doesn't have to be a periodic type of thing. For example, I gave you the gym example. A person goes to the gym, the first day feel great, second day they're still pretty good, the third day they're already dragging. All right, it doesn't mean that if that person deals with that third day then, it doesn't mean they have to go 1, 2, 3 to get to another third day. You might have a third day every day for a month straight. Some of you, again, dealing with the pandemic. How many of you business owners had to deal with some real serious third day issues over the last year plus because of the shutdowns and the restrictions and the things that you were not able to do because the pandemic forced a lot of things locked down, and it really put your business in a situation where you had to make some tough decisions. This whole last year has been a third day for a lot of people. Maybe some of you got COVID. Maybe some people who are close to you got the virus, and there were a lot of complications that came with that. That can make your whole life a third day. So understand that the third day doesn't go by some timed period. Okay, all right, 3 hours went by, so now it's the third day again, or 3 days. No, the third day is any situation. Okay, your whole life could be a third day depending on what situations and challenges and circumstances you happen to be facing. Okay, so as an athlete, you could face the third day for a whole season. As a business person, you could face the third day for an entire year, or maybe the entire life of your business based on what you have going on. If you're playing a sport, and let's say you go through a season being injured. You ever heard of an athlete who says something like, man, I had to play that whole year with an injury. I wasn't 100% during that year, but they still played during the season. The whole year is a third day. While the people on TV will be talking bad about them if they didn't play, or talking bad about them because they're not playing well, but nobody realizes that they're not even 100%. That is the third day. And the player can't reference their injury as an excuse, because then people say, oh, all you're doing is making excuses, which make it even worse. So understand that the third day can be something that just goes on continuously for an extended period of time for any one of us based on what we're dealing with. Any parents who are listening to me right now, has any of you ever had a day when you were too sick yourself to go to work, but you still got up to feed and prepare your kids to go to school? I would consider that to be the third day. All right, you were too sick to do the things that you needed to do, but you made sure you did the things that the people around you that you care for, that you're responsible for, that they needed to do. That right there is the third day. As I was writing the notes for this episode, actually, I was on an airplane in Amsterdam, sitting in the window seat, and I was watching the crew. I'm looking out the window. I'm watching the I don't even know what they call these guys, the grounds crew at the airport. Any of you ever sit on the plane, look out the window, you see them loading the bags onto the plane, like everybody's bags onto the plane. And it started raining outside while they were loading the bags onto the plane. And there's all these big suitcases, because this is an international flight. So there's all these big suitcases that need to be handled. I thought to myself, these guys right now, all right, this is the third day. Now they know the job that they're loading bags onto a plane. They know what they signed up for, but shit, it's still the third day. I'm loading big, heavy suitcases onto a plane, and it's raining on me, and it's outside, and it's not like it was 90 degrees and beautiful sunny, and I'm loading these bags onto the plane, and I have to do my job or I won't get a paycheck. That's the third day. Okay, so understand that the third day is any situation, and the third day, the actual thing of the third day, is a decision that you make in those situations. Okay? So it's not the occurrence, it's the decision. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is introducing my newest book, The Third Day, The Decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. Now, what the third day, being that I keep emphasizing that it's not the occurrence but the decision, what the third day really becomes then, and here's the significance of it for all of us, the third day is the separation. And what do I mean by this? Now, I have a whole chapter in the book that will explain the situation that I call the separation day. But let me whet your appetite by telling you right here a little bit about it. The third day is a separation because since we all have in common that we will all at some point come across the third day, what separates one person from the next is not whether you deal with the third day, because we all do. The decision that we make is what separates one person from the next. When the third day shows itself, you choose. Are you going to show up all the way? Or are you going to show up halfway? Are you not going to show up at all? Are you going to quit? Are you going to pivot? Are you going to change your strategy? Are you going to change your goals? Are you going to alter your approach? The decisions that you make on the third day are what separate you from other people based on the decisions that they make on the third day. Now, how do those decisions get made? What drives the decisions that we make when we run into these third day situations? And if you're really thinking about what I'm saying here, you understand that even though I'm just now introducing you to this book, you've been making third day decisions your entire life. You've been making third day decisions for the life of your career, for as long as your business has been a business, for as long as you've been in the relationship that you've been in, for as long as you've been a parent, for as long as you've been an athlete. You've been making third day decisions over and over and over and over again. And those decisions were driven by what? And the decisions that you make right now are driven by what? And the decisions you're going to make in the future are all driven by what? All the exact same thing. Here it is. Who you are being as a person. So this is why, if that idea that I just explained to you is either common to you or foreign to you, you should have already read my book, The Mirror of Motivation, Self-Guide and Self-Discipline, because that's what that book is all about, who you are being as a person. When you alter who you are being as a person, the decision making is easy. Because if you're a type of person that says, I am, that's the being, a person who stays in shape and takes care of their body, then the action, the decision of going to the gym and working out is not something you have to think about. It's not a debate. All right, you don't have to figure out, all right, you're not negotiating with yourself whether you're going to do it or not, because you already decided who you're being as a person. Does that make sense? If you decided your being as a person who is smart with their money, and you make sure you always put some money aside and you save money, you don't have to make a decision of what to do when you find you got a couple extra dollars that you could do anything with. You already know what you're going to do because you already decided what your being is. Now, when your being is in flux, then the decision making becomes harder. Now, if you make a decision that maybe goes against the grain of what you want to be one time, maybe it won't make a big difference. But over many times, and we're talking again about how the third day is a separation, over many decisions that you make over time, that third day gap widens between you and anyone else who is making a different decision. Or it can help you catch up. So let's say someone's far ahead of you. You can use the third day as a catch-up day. So for example, and I talked about this in my book, Work on Your Game. When I was first starting in basketball and trying to get good, there were many players who were better than me. So the third day for me, when I would show up and work on my game and they would not, it was actually a catch-up day for me because I was trying to catch up to the people who were better than me. Now, once I caught up to them, then it became a separation day because I was creating space between me and them. At first, I had to close the space because they already had the lead. But then once I caught up, then it became the separation day because now I had the lead. So the third day, the decision that you make every time you come across the third day becomes either the separation that you create between yourself and others who aren't making the same decisions, or it allows you to catch up to others who aren't making that same decision. And this is where the third day can help for any of you who's in any form of competition. Whether you're inherently a competitive person or not, there may be other people competing against you and you don't even know that they exist. And by the way, if you're in business, any form of business, somebody's competing against you. If you have a business, somebody's competing against you, even if you don't know who they are. If you're an athlete, somebody's competing against you. If you're in a relationship, when somebody's competing against you, they might want the person that you're with, and they might think they can offer something better than what you offer. Every decision that you make in that relationship gets you further away from them being able to catch up, or it allows them to catch up a little bit. These are the decisions that we make. Third day is all about the decisions that you make. Your decisions are driven by who you are being as a person, and who you are being as a person is driven by the choice that you make as who you want to be. Now, nobody can tell you who to be. Nobody can make you be something that you don't want to be. This is all driven by you. And again, that's covered in my book, The Mirror of Motivation, which you should already have gotten free at mirrorofmotivation.com. But if you haven't, that's where you can get it. And now you can get the third day at thirddaybook.com. And the links to both of those books are, of course, down below in the show notes, wherever you happen to be listening to this. So let's recap today's class, which is introducing my newest book, The Third Day, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. You can also get the Work on Your Game system manual, where we have laid out, frameworked out the entire Work on Your Game process into 9 steps. You can add that book to your order when you go to thirddaybook.com. It's all right there on the page and easy to understand. So let me recap these points again. Thirddaybook.com is that website. Number 1, the third day is not an occurrence. The third day is a decision that you make when things aren't new, when stuff is not working, or when you just don't feel your best. How do you show up, or do you show up at all? Just a question that only you can answer. Point number 2, third day does not need to be few and far between situations. The third day could happen every day for a week, a month, or a year straight. The third day is any situation where it's just not popping off the way that you wanted to. What decision do you make in that moment? Athletes, business owners, parents, we all deal with the third day. Teachers, students, we all deal with the third day all the time. And when you really think about it, you've been making third day decisions in your entire life. Look at your life right now. It is a reflection of what you've been doing on your third days. And point number 3, the third day is the separation. Not only the separation between you and other people, but also the separation between you yesterday and you today. So are you getting further away from yesterday as far as improving, or are you going the wrong way? You're going the other direction. The separation that you create between yesterday's you and today's you is all based on the decision that you're making on the third day. And understand, over many decisions, over the course of 20 years of decisions, or 10 months of decisions, or 3 weeks of decisions, you can make a big difference between who you were and who you are, or you could choose not to. But it's all about the decision that you make. So all that being said, you're going to hear more about the third day, of course, moving forward. But I think I told you enough that you got a basic understanding of what this book is about. So what I want you to do right now, here's my call to action. Go to thirddaybook.com, claim your free copy of the book. The book is in pre-order until August 3rd. On August 3rd, that's when we start shipping out the books. But understand something, I am doing a free live online event for everyone who has pre-ordered the book. That live event will be probably on August 1st or 2nd, before the book actually becomes public and anybody can get it. That will be for everyone who has pre-ordered the book. So again, go to thirddaybook.com. As of this recording, I'm recording this in mid to late June of 2021. So by the time you hear this, it's probably still in pre-order. So go to thirddaybook.com, claim your free copy of the book. We'll ship all books out on August the 3rd, and then we'll go from there. Stay tuned. Work on your game. Dre all day.